8, verse 17. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. Call halal Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. All praises to Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Double honors to the elders, the bishops, the apostles of the great millstone, the one who taught me this truth. Much respect to the brothers who's doing this work in all truth, righteousness, and sincerity for the second coming of our Lord and Savior YAHAWASHI HaMashiach. Shalom to the sincere listeners out there listening to this gospel. Shalom to the Lord's elect. Just want to get into a very quick lesson here. Lord's willing, it'll be edifying, and you'll get something out of it. I just opened up this scripture, this lesson with the book of Luke 8, verse 17. It says, for nothing is secret. Everything that's done in the dark will come out in the light. It says, for nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest. See, it will come to the light. Neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. That is the emphasis of this lesson today. Everything is done in the dark will be revealed, because the Lord is stirring up the truth. Because he said in the book of 2nd Ezra, the truth that has been so long without fruit shall be declared. Let me bring that up really quickly. 2nd Ezra 6, verse 27. It says, for evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome. And man, you know these leaders are corrupt. And the truth which have been so long without fruit shall be declared. Because nothing these people do in secret, it will be forever hidden. It will come abroad. It will be made manifest, because that's the power that we serve. Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. So just see, as I say that, it's 444. 4 is a very powerful number. We say Barakatah Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. That is mercy. 444. Okay? So it says, Iran's president Iran's president Raisi joined BRICS, call to drop US dollar and push for a multipolar world. It says Iran's president Ibrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash, sought to unite the global south against Western imperialism. See, once again, I can finish this lesson right here. It says Iran's president Ibrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash mysteriously, Salakia, it says, sought to unite the global south against Western imperialism. He joined BRICS: Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, South Africa. Advocated de-dollarization, supported Palestine, promoted a look east strategy toward China and Russia, and allied with Africa and Latin America. That is the total opposite contrary of what the Western dominance, the Western imperialism wants. So they were trying to have more of a multipolar war, which mostly other nations share the rulership. But America wants what? A unipolar. They're the only big dogs on campus. They're the only ones on campus. It is our way or the highway. Let's get into this article. It says, Iran's president Ibrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash on May 19th, left behind a legacy of working to build a more multipolar world. Under Raisi, Iran joined BRICS at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, global South-led institutions that he noted could challenge U.S. unilateralism and hegemony. And that's exactly the reason why he was taken out. It says the late Iranian leader advocated for, one of the reasons why he was taken out, the late Iranian leader was advocated a look east strategy, strengthening relationships with China, Russia, and other countries in Asia. It says Raisi represented a more nationalist wing in the political class in Tehran, which is the capital of Iran, which sees the futility of trying to win Western's approval. So he's saying it was futile. No matter what these guys do, it would never be good enough, because it was their way or the highway. That is how Edom rules. It is his way or the highway. It says, and instead recognizes that Iran's political and economic future lies in dependent integration with the global South, with their own allies. We will not tie this country's economy and people's lives to the West's will, Raisi declared. So he was totally against U.S. and the Western allies type of imperialism, democracy. You cannot say the word democracy without saying the word grenade, grenade, incoming, missile, bomb, right? Because it is their way or the highway. It says, accordingly, he pursued closer ties with the Latin America and Africa, emphasizing the common struggle against Western imperialism. All these nations here, you can go from Venezuela to Cuba to the countries in Africa, they're all destabilized. They were all destabilized and devalued in order for these companies to continue raping, robbing, and pillaging the resources to continue their dominance. So now the countries are fed up, you see. In 2023, Raisi visited Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Despite his political differences, he was at odds with these countries. He says, despite his political differences, he showed solidarity with the socialist governments of these Latin American nations, which, like Iran, suffer from illegal unilateral sanctions imposed by the United States. So you see, if you don't play ball with America, they're gonna A, sanction you, B, destabilize your economy, and C, erase the leader. Okay, so that's what America is known for, because they want the total control. Hence, unipolar type system rulership. In La Habana, Raisi stated, one of the serious commonalities between the two countries is standing against the voracity, it says, of the colonial system. Cuba has been standing against American hegemony. Let me look up that word here for a sec. And voracity, let's see. Just do it says wanting or devouring great quantities of food. He had a voracious appetite, having a great eager approach to an activity. See? So once again, the American hegemony and voracity for many years, they always want, they can never have enough. You see, let's go to the book of Habakkuk for a second here. I'm gonna go to it says, let's start at Habakkuk 2 verse 5. It's talking about America. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. See, who does that describe? Esau, Edom. Neither keepeth at home, because he have over 850 military bases across the world. It is his way or the highway. It says, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell. And what does that word say? Veracity. He is as death, and that's everywhere he goes. That's where what death follows, right? And cannot be what? And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations. You see? And heapeth unto him all people, because that's what America does. It is our way or the highway. Once again, he is yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, and that wine goes into what? The democracies, their philosophies, the LGBTQRSPUC, all of those things, right? That's his way. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. He's in every country. That's the whore that sitteth on many waters in Revelation the 17th chapter. Who enlargeth his desire is hell. He is as death. Follows him everywhere he goes and cannot be satisfied. These people have more than their heart's desire, but they still want more. See? It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him? See? All these nations are angry. And a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. See? That's how these nations rule. All these European nations is colonization. It is our way, the highway. Kill, rob, rape, pillage, you name it. It says, that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, and that thick clay goes into the debt. They're not paying back their. America is over. They said national debt counter.org. It says what, 34 million, but we know the numbers are way trillion, way past 34 trillion. But that's what they report to the general public. You see, that's the thick clay. You see. So let's continue this article here. Oops, wrong one. It says, in 2023, I read this one already, sorry. In La Habana, Raisi stated one of the serious commodities, I read it already, It says, Iran's foreign ministry wrote in its diplomatic readout that when he was in Caracas, Venezuela, Ayatollah Sayyid Ibrahim Raisi praised the years of resistance of the Venezuelan people against imperialism. If you look at Venezuela today, it's a dump. That country was under the Hugo Chavez. That country was flourishing, have a lot of oil, a lot of resources. But now it's dirt poor, a lot of crime because it was destabilized. Sanctions. In Managua, Salaki, Raisi declared America wanted to stop our nation with sanctions. See, once again, there's those sanctions. Our way, the highway. And threats, but our nation did not only stop, but instead it used threats and sanctions to build progress. And that leads me to the book of, let's go to the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, Salakia. Joel 3:10 to be exact, going right to the point. It says, beat your plowshares into swords. So at one point, all these countries here, at one point, Iran wasn't even allowed to build nuclear weapons because the West had that kind of policy in place that they were not allowed to build. You remember Saddam Hussein, when Colin Powell hold up the vial and says, what? Weapons of mass destruction? And Saddam Hussein was taken out. Iran was not allowed to build nukes for a number of years. But now, look what happens. It says, beat your plowshares into swords. Modern day gun, ultimate sword is what? The nuclear missile. And your prune hooks into spears. They've beefed up their military. And the reason why, because it's prophecy. It says, let the weak say, I am strong. And this is what all these nations have done over the years. Put more money into military might because they knew this great day was coming. It says, while meeting with the foreign minister of Burkina Faso revolutionary government. Once again, Burkina Faso, there was a big uprising, a year and a half ago, or give or take, that they were kicking the French businesses and companies out of the country because Burkina Faso with Niger and all these countries, they're some of the poorest nations in the world, yet they're rich in resources, namely uranium. And France sucks the resources dry. That's all. When you go to France or you see a picture of the Eiffel Tower, that is all the uranium from these poor, as Donald Trump would say, from these shithole countries, because they bleed the resources, undermine them, undervalue them, and destabilize them so they can get the resources at pennies on a dollar. You see? And then sell it back to these companies, these places for so expensive. If they can't pay, they give them all these fake loans, these IMF loans, these loans that they can never pay back. And part of the clauses is what? They will take over parts of the country, and that's how they rule. Pure wickedness. Those are what the Bible refers to as what in the book of Micah, unrighteous decrees. You see? Because they have the power in their hands. You see? It says, where was I here? Sorry, it says Salakia. It says, while meeting with the foreign minister of Burkina Faso revolutionary government, Raisi praised the standing and resilience of African countries against colonization. Salakia. Colonialism. Oh man, I can't even speak today. Colonialism, Salakia, and terrorism. Man, it was a bit of a tongue twister for a second. Describing a sign of awakening. Africa is the main driver of the development of the global South. Raisi said at the BRICS summit in August 2023. Fortunately, the political and economic weight of Africa, which is an inseparable part of the developing world, is growing constantly, because Africa has so much resources that the entire world bleeds Africa of its resources. right down to the cell phones that we use. Cell phones cannot use unless you get products out of Africa. You see, the late Iranian leader likewise was a vocal advocate for de-dollarization, promoting the use of local currencies in bilateral trade to bolster economic sovereignty and undermine the dominance of the United States dollar. There is no way America would have stood back and allowed that stuff to happen. So this is another reason why he was taken out of power, because to have that American dollar devalued, that's all they have. The American dollar it's backed on what? Their military might. Let's go to a quick article and we just go back to this one quickly. This is a quick article here. It says, why is the US dollar backed by the military's by the military strength? I heard this in various forms, various times before. The strength of the United States dollar is backed by the military might of the United States. And the USA protects her allies and her interests across the world. 110%. What exactly does this mean? Thought. And it is reasonable to expect emerging superpowers, you're already seeing that right now, like India or China, to follow the same mode. Actually, it's prophesied because Moab, which is China, follow a very similar template to America. It may appear to be different, but it's very similar in nature. It says, stay a step ahead of financial surprises with our insight. No, that's not the one. The United States dollar is a fiat currency, Slovakia. The United States dollar is a fiat currency. It is not tied to gold or silver or anything else. See? It's only has value because of what? USA it says it, because right now they're the Federal Reserve currency. It has value, and because of the strength of the United States economy, powerful investors take the US word to be good. Thus, the US dollar is considered to be a safer investment than some other countries. The United States economy depends on the global economy, see, everywhere, as do most major economies. Global trade and shipping are protected by the strength of the militaries of the United States and its allies, but mainly by the United States. Thus, the United States dollar is backed by its United States military. And that's the point. Our way or the highway. And that's where the strength really comes from. The military. It says, while accepting Tehran's invitation to join the BRICS, the late leader stated the Islamic Republic of Iran has decisively supported the successful efforts of the BRICS in the direction of the de-dollarization of economic relations between members, as well as the use of national currencies and the strengthening of BRICS mechanism for payment and financial settlement. See, they don't want to deal with America, and this is why the dollar is weakening. Speaking before BRICS, he also emphasized that one of the challenges in the southern world is the continuation of racist policies. Insecurities arising from oppression, occupation. 100%. It is our way, the highway. They don't respect nobody but themselves. They want to say your country is shit. It is uncivilized. That's how they've always done things. See, this is a problem. It says, and state terrorism, especially from the Zionist regime, which not only prevented the Palestinian people from exercising their right to self-determination, but also deprived them of the right to development. Above all, Raisi demonstrated Tehran's unflinching support for the Palestine national liberation struggle against Israeli colonialism. In December, Raisi organized a global conference to support Palestine, which attended by representatives from more than 50 countries. See? So this is what you're seeing right now. It says, at the international meeting, the late Raisi condemned the United States at the first and the biggest violator of democracy of the world. He recognized that Israeli genocidal war in Gaza was not only possible because of the substantial support it receives from the United States empire, which he condemned as a global hegemonic system based on imperial oppression. And that, my friends, is the reason why he was killed. 100%. One of the main reasons, as a matter of fact. So he says, let's go here because it's very similar. You look back at the time of Muammar Gaddafi. America painted him as a tyrant, a terrorist, savage. He was what? He was giving his soldiers drugs to rape women and all kind of stories that was coming out. But at the end of the day, they got to paint the villain. I'm not saying he was a good guy or not, but he did a lot for his people and for his country. You can do a basic Google search and see some of the things that he was doing for his citizens. But the main thing was what? He wanted to get away from the American dollar and have a more United States of Africa. So I have an article here. I'm just going to go into it briefly. It says, why they kill Gaddafi. It's from a website called the IAI News. It says, look at that. Powerful. It says, 2021 marks the 10-year anniversary of NATO's violent intervention. It says NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, all the Western European nations, right? Violent intervention in Libya at the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi. As the suspected at the time, it was later shown in the published emails of Hillary Clinton. NATO acted to prevent Gaddafi. Listen up. NATO acted to prevent Gaddafi founded an African central bank with its own gold-backed currency. And you think the Americans were going to have that? That would crush their system. That would devalue their dollar even larger. So they weren't going to have that. They created this boogeyman of Gaddafi and deleted him. The institution would have challenged the power of the dollar, there you go, and finally allowed Africa to escape its colonial shackles. Wow. Writes Ellen Brown. It was thanks to the 2016 publication of Hillary Clinton's emails, remember those leaked emails, that the reason behind NATO's entry to Libya was revealed. It was to prevent the creation of an independent, hard currency in Africa that would free the continent from its economic bondage under the dollar of the IMF. Once again, International Monetary Fund. You see, all these people. It said, once again, it would free the continent from its economic bondage under the IMF and the French African franc. See, all these nations, all these European nations, from Portugal to France to America to England, they all have their hands dirty with blood tied into this, and that's where they control these nations. You see, that's hard currency would have allowed Africa to shake off the last heavy chains of colonial exploitation. The brief visit of the then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in Libya in October 2011 was referred to the media as a victory lap. We came, listen to this devil, we came, we saw, he died. I remember this interview and she laughed. She crowed in a CBS interview of hearing the capture and brutal murder of Libyan leader Muammar el-Gaddafi. But the victory lap, wrote Scott Shane and Joe Becker in the New York Times, was premature. Libya was relegated to the back burner by the State Department as the country dissolved into chaos, leading into a civil war that would destabilize the region once again. See, that's the whole thing. The same MO in every country to destabilize them, fueling the refugee crisis in Europe and allowing the Islamic State to establish a Libyan haven that under the United States is now desperately trying to contain. See, same thing. U.S. NATO intervention was allegedly undertaken on humanitarian grounds. Why they're not using the same humanitarian grounds right now? See, after reports of mass atrocities under Gaddafi, but human rights organizations questioned the claims after finding a lack of evidence. Once again, remember George Bush? We found weapons of mass destruction, and later on in a big fancy dinner, he gave a speech and he laughed. They're still searching for weapons of mass destruction. This is the same MO these devils do. In the years that followed, however, verifiable atrocities occurred. The creation of an independent hard currency in Africa would have allowed Africa to shake off the last heavy chains of colonial exploitation. As Dan Cavote wrote in his Huffington Post, the human rights situation in Libya is a disaster, as thousands of detainees, including children, languish in prisons without proper judicial review, and kidnappings and targeted killings are rampant. Before 2011, Libya had achieved economic independence with its own water, its own, listen up, with its own water, its own food, and its own oil, its own money. They could not have that. And its own state bank. It had arisen under Gaddafi from one of the poorest countries to the richest in Africa. You honestly think America would have sit back and its allies would have sit back and let that happen? It raised them from the poorest of the countries to one of the richest. No. Listen to this. Education and medical treatment were free. Not even these so-called first world nations have free education and free med. No. Education and medical treatment were free. Having a home was considered a human right. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Having a home was considered a human right, and Libyans participated in an original system of local democracy. The country boasted its world's largest irrigation system, the Great Man-Made River Project. Countries like Canada don't even have running water to the indigenous people in this land. There's people there still living on the reserves, living worse than animals, worse than dogs, right? But this man is a tyrant, which brought water from the desert to the cities and coastal areas. And Gaddafi was embarking on a program to spend this model throughout Africa. You honestly think they're going to have that? Man. But that was before the United States NATO forces bombed the irrigation system. See these, man, listen to this shit. Excuse my French. Bombed the irrigation systems and wreaked havoc on the country during the term of President Obama. Devil. The situation on the ground in Libya was so bad that he asked his advisors to draw up options, including a new military front in Libya. The Defense Department was reportedly standing ready with the full spectrum of military operations required. So you see, this is their way of democracy. It is our way or the highway. You see, that's what they did. That's what they done. Destroyed countries across the world. Let's go to the book of Revelation. Revelation 18. No, Revelation 11 verse 18. Salakia. Revelation 11 verse 18. The precept just popped in my head. It says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou should have give reward unto the servants, the prophets, who are the Israelites, and to the saints, who are the Israelites, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and should have destroyed them which destroyeth the earth. That is the hammer of the earth. United States of America and its allies that destroyeth the earth. You see? And that's who the ones destroy the earth. United States of America and its allies. Just speaking the obvious, right? The Secretary of State victory lap was indeed premature. If what we're talking about was the official stated goal of humanitarian intervention, but Clinton's email revealed another agenda behind Libyan war that one, it seems, was achieved. Mission accomplished. In 2000, in one of the 3,000 emails released from Hillary Clinton's private email server in late December 2015, about a third were from a close confidant, Sidney Blumenthal. One of these emails dated April 2nd, 2011, reading part. Gaddafi's government holds 143 tons of gold. And a similar amount of silver. The gold was accumulated prior to the current rebellion and was intended to be used to establish Pan-African currency based on the Libyan golden dinar. This plan was designated to provide the Francophone African countries with an alternative to the French franc, CFA. In a source comment, the original declassified email, according to the knowledge individuals in this quantity of gold and silver is valued more than 7 billion. You heard that correctly. More than 7 billion. French intelligence officers discovered this plan shortly after the current rebellion began. And this was one of the factors that influenced President Nicolas Sarkozys's decision to commit France to attack on Libya. You see these devils, man? Man, it's this same game plan. You know, this is the book of Ecclesiasticus 10 verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, America and NATO and its allies, injuries, they killed a lot of people, and riches got by deceit, See, because of what they did. The thief in John 11 verse 11 says, the thief, he comes to kill, to rob, and to destroy. Ecclesiasticus, which is also known as Sirach, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. See, so they have 143 tons of gold, and of course these devils are well aware, and this is what they do: an invasion. It says it was the same factors that influenced Nicholas Swarovski to decision to commit France to attack on Libya. According to these individuals, Sikorsky plans are driven by the following issues: a desire to gain a great share of Libya's oil production, greed, wickedness; increase French influence in North Africa, wickedness; improve its internal political situation in France, boosting up the army; provide the French military with an opportunity to reassert its position in the world. See, once again, to boost their army; address the concern of his advisors over Gaddafi's long-term plans to supplant France as a dominant power in the Francophone Africa. See, they want you to be 100%, 110% dependent by their form of democracy and their IMF. Conspicuously absent is any mention of humanitarian concerns. The objective are money, power, and oil. I'll read that again. Sirach 10 verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. That is Esau, Edom. Greed, 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 greed. You see? Other explosive confirmations were detailed by the investigative journalist Robert Perry. They include admissions of rebel war crimes of special ops trainees inside Libya from nearly the start of the process, and the Al-Qaeda embedded in the United States-backed opposition, toppling the global finance scheme. Gaddafi's threatened attempt to establish an independent Africa currency was not taken lightly by Western interests. Once again, in 2011, Swarovski reported he called the Libyan leader a threat to the financial security of the world. See how these devils operate? They demonize you, and they come up with some BS, and then they delete you. How could this tiny country of 6 million people possess such a threat? First, some background. It's banks, not governments, that create most of the money in the Western economies. This has been going for centuries through the process called fractional reserve lending. Originally, the reserves were in gold. In 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt placed gold domestically with central bank created reserve, but gold remaining the reserve currency internationally. In 1944, the International IMF and the World Bank were created. See, once again, it says, ruling that no paper money could have gold backing. I don't know if I'm going to go into all this stuff, but let's drop down here for a second. In 2021, declassified with the shrinking value of the dollar that the OPEC was getting from its oil, Iraq Saddam Hussein broke the pact and sold oil in euros. That was his mistake right there. That's how they delete Saddam. That's why they delete Gaddafi. Regime change swiftly followed, accompanied, and now they deleted Raisi the same way, accompanied by widespread destruction of the country. Violent intervention was not only chiefly about the security of the people, but it was about the money and oil and the security of the global banking. See? So a fairly long article here, but this is the point. In Libya, Gaddafi also broke its pact, but he did more than just sell oil to another currency, as these developments were detailed by the blogger Denise Ryan. For decades, Libya and other African countries have been attempting to create a Pan-African gold standard, a Pan-African hard currency. Libya's Gaddafi conceive and finance a plan to unify sovereign states of Africa with one gold currency, United States of Africa. In 2004, a Pan-African Parliament, 53 nations, laid plans for African economic community with a single gold currency by 2023. And that's the reason why they destroyed all these leaders and destroyed these countries, for that reason, because they can never have enough Greed, greed, greed is their thing. Greed, greed, greed. It's always to destabilize countries. But that's why I read to you, see, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. See, the kingdom is translated from one people unto another, and that's how these people got their money. The moment that devil Swarovski found out that they were sitting on 143 tons of gold, valued at the time 7 billion, they couldn't have that. Now today's value, that same money is tripled in value in the gold. So, anyways, I hope that you've been edified from this. I hope you got something out of it and see the comparisons as to why, because the Bible says, there is nothing hid that shall not be known and made abroad. And these are the times that we're in. So, hope you've been edified. Stay prayed up. Until next time, I say, Thawada YAHAWASHI. Shalom.